Hi everyone, welcome. In this video, I'm going to walk you through the difference between identity-based policy and what we call resource or S3 bucket policy-based. But the main difference, okay, I will say the resource-based policy will have what we call a principal in it, but the identity-based policy will not have the principal in it. I will show you when we go into the console. But again, based on the use case, but there are certain actions that are only allowed with what we call the IAM or the entity-based policy. Some of the action is to list all my bucket. This will allow you to list or see all the bucket within the account that the user belongs to. So if you want to create a bucket, you need to leverage on the identity based policy. If you want to delete, if you want to get bucket location, these are all what we call the service level or identity based policy. Okay, that's where you can leverage on that. But for example, if you want to leverage what we call the resource-based policy, these are the action that you can only take within the bucket. For example, you want to list the content or the object within the bucket. So you have the list bucket. You want to download or upload the object. So if you want to download, it's get object. If you want to upload, it's put object. If you want to delete the object, so this, as you can see, this is what we call the bucket level, okay, within the stuff within the bucket. So this action can be taken within the bucket and also at the identity based policy. Okay, so the difference, if you are leveraging on the resource based policy, you cannot add these actions within the policy document. You cannot add the get or sorry list all my bucket, create bucket. You cannot do it at the bucket level because it's within the bucket. You cannot actually delete the bucket whilst you are within the bucket. You don't have the permission outside of that bucket, if that makes sense. Okay, so the stuff that is to do with the creation of the bucket itself, okay, that will be done by identity based, but within the bucket, these are the actions you can take. Okay, and at the bottom here I put down, so for bucket policy, so if you want to carry on with certain action like the object level, so you leverage on what we call the bucket policy. But if you want like the S3 service level, okay, you leverage on the identity based policy. Right, let me quickly go on the console and then let me show you what I mean, so the difference will actually be obvious. So I've got these two, um right, so I've got this user. Okay, let's go Dan. Okay, let's go to Dan quickly. So Dan has got this policy. Let's open this policy. So this is the user, this is identity based, right? So there is no principal in this policy JSON. Yeah, you can't see anything that it says um, principal in here. And these actions are both, S3 level or principal level or the S3 service level. Okay, you're able to do that. But if I put this in the resource based policy, it will not work. As you can see, this is an identity base because there's a user which is a principal or an entity and is been able to list all bucket within this console. I've done a separate video that covers this. Okay, but what I want to show you is the other one, which is the bucket policy. Okay, so the bucket policy, it has a principal in it. Yeah, the principal is who is going to have access to the bucket. In this case, is Charlie. What is Charlie going to do? List, get, and put. Okay, on this resource. Watch this. If I should add one of the, so let's say list all my bucket. Let's see what's going to happen. Okay, so let's edit the policy, and then I'm just gonna say go to the action here, and I'm gonna look for bucket, list all my bucket. Straight away, can you see error, unsupported action? Because list all my bucket is an identity based action, it's a service level. Okay, so you cannot list all buckets, okay, whilst you are within a single bucket. It doesn't make sense, does it? So if you are within a single bucket, how can you list the rest of the bucket which you don't belong even to? Okay, that is what I'm trying to show you here. So there are certain action that can be taken within the resource base and then also within what we call the identity base. So in a nutshell, that is the difference. If you are confused, let me know and then I'll probably do a separate video and better explain it. I hope this makes things clear. So when you get in some of these errors, okay, don't start pulling your hair. Remember what action can be taken at what level, okay, at what policy level. Okay, I hope this helps. Okay, see you in my next video. Thank you very much for watching. Subscribe and share with your friends and family. Happy learning. Bye bye.